Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Administration Committee meeting to order. Clerk Galiazzi, could we have the roll call, please?
Alderman Collier. Here. Alderman Keehan. Here. Alderman Zielinski. Here. Alderman Spencer. Here. Alderman Benner. Here. Alderman Nichols.
Here.
Alderman Taylor. Here. Alderman Kraut-Kramer has been excused.
Thank you. The first item of business this evening is to approve the minutes from the Administration Committee meeting of July 5th, 2016. Do we have a motion? Alderman Keehan?
Thank you. I'll move to approve the Administration Committee meeting minutes from the 7/5/16 meeting.
And do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions about the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Minutes are approved. The first item this evening is a discussion item regarding the annual CIVMIC insurance report, and I will turn that over to Attorney Captain for a brief summary.
Thank you. I provided a memo in your packet. Each year, as the CIVMIC representative, I attend the professional development and training program and meeting that CIVMIC has in the summer. They also have their annual meeting then over a weekend in the fall. And I put together the information that is provided to me relative to the dividend reports, I guess, because there's 2 dividends that are being given out in 2016, one for the liability program and the other for auto physical damage. If there is no, if you don't want anything to happen but what we've done in the past, and that is that the dividends get paid out on March 1st of the subsequent year, which would be in 2017, then we don't need to take any action. Otherwise, there are 2 other alternatives. The one, if you'll recall, is a new alternative that was just developed, I think it started last year, and that's where CIVMIC holds the funds and invests them like they do their other holdings. In, I believe, last year, Director Steno had indicated to have it paid out to us. I didn't specifically talk to her this year, but I believe I see her shaking her head yes, so that would be her recommendation, to do what we've done in the past, and that is to get the cash dividend paid out in March. If there's any other questions or anything, I'd be happy to try to answer it. I also attached there, I think I let you know about this over the last few years, CIVMIC, including each of us as the representatives, because we're all, active members of this particular insurance company. And they have been working on a strategic plan, and I provided a copy of what that is. If there's any comments that anyone wants to get back to me, and I can get back to the board, just let me know.
Thank you, Attorney Captain. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is the City of Menasha and Calumet County outdoor warning sirens. And what we have provided in our packet is an email that outlines a possible opportunity, and I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Voss to tell us a little bit more about this, and then we'll decide where we want to go this evening.
It's my first committee meeting, so I was promoted back in September, so that's my fallback, as I'm new to this. But over the
that forever, you know.
Oh, I'm keeping a check mark. Over the winter, Chief Oxshire and I had talked about and talked with Mayor about establishing an outdoor storm siren in the Calumet County portion of the city of Menasha. Not a specific location that I remember, but we started doing some research in the spring. It comes down to the activation of a siren. Anybody can build a siren. In Calumet County, in fact, Calumet County owns no sirens. They just agreed to activate the municipal siren. So if Sherwood wants to put up a siren, which I believe there's a siren in Sherwood, the municipality pays for it, constructs it, and the county sets off the siren when it's necessary. Winnebago County, our concern was that if the siren on one side of Oneida Street is going off and the sirens on the other side of Oneida Street are not going off, this is going to cause confusion because of the county line. So I approached the Winnebago County emergency manager about having the siren, if we established one in Calumet County for the city of Menasha, would they activate it? And she absolutely will not, per direction from the county exec. So I went at it about 4 different angles and I got the same answer each time. So that was like going to be the best case scenario for activation. I did attend a meeting, and that's what this was kind of a summary I sent the mayor on the meeting that I attended in Calumet County, because I had approached Matthew Marmore, the EM from Calumet, and asked for options. The whole thing comes down to activation. So we can build this siren. Winnebago won't activate it, so that's off the table. Calumet will activate it, but they activate on a system of, if Calumet County falls underneath a warning, they activate all the sirens in Calumet County. It's a very broad or widespread activation because they only have about 4 sirens in the whole county. The city of Appleton came to this meeting, Deputy Chief Reese, and did inform us that the city of Appleton is going to be building a siren in the city of Appleton, Calumet County. I don't know the exact location, but they're building the siren, and Outagamie County has agreed to operate that siren for them. Outagamie County has a very sophisticated activation software that actually activates only the sirens in the affected areas. So that would be a preferable way of having an activation. The conversation went on. There was conversation about the possibility of doing a joint siren in that area, and if one would be enough to cover the whole area, Menasha and Appleton's concerns, and that's kind of where we left it, is that it would have to, the mayors or somebody would have to talk. It wasn't going to be Gene Reese and I deciding that. So that's kind of an update of where we're at. There's other options, and when you talk about building a siren, other than the company that sells sirens, everybody else says that's why you carry a cell phone. So sirens are becoming more and more obsolete. I think there's still a place for them. I don't know if this is a place for a siren or not. That's not my expertise.
Thank you for that. And I think we should back up just a minute. This is an item that was placed in our capital improvements plan. Was it back in this past November, or the 2 years ago now, out of concerns raised by the residents on the in the Calumet County portion of Menasha. Alderman Benner, did you have something to add to that? Oh. Would you be willing to yield to Alderman Benner for just a
I
minute?
just had a quick question that pertains to what you just said. Yeah, it was late in the budget process last November. This came into the budget, and Peggy, was it $40,000?
That was the number that was placed in the budget, correct?
Thank you.
Alderman Benner.
Thank you. Little history lesson. This was brought to my attention from one of the residents that live in District 8, of course, which I represent, and I didn't even realize that we didn't have sirens out in our district, because at my house I was hearing them from Winnebago County. And so of course it rose concerns for me that we have a greater portion of Menasha that has sirens, but then we have this smaller portion by us that does not. So I think even from my own, I'll call it ignorance, I just assumed that if the city has sirens, the city has sirens, and we don't. So to me, that was a concern. we met shortly after this concern was brought to my attention. We met with Public Works Director and the mayor in Calumet County. I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, maybe you can help me out if Chief Aucture was part of that meeting. I don't recall. I don't think, yeah. But the cell phone option was discussed, that they're saying that that's kind of a movement, but I can tell you from my perspective or whatever, you know, we have trails and we're getting more and more of them. I don't usually take my cell phone with me, even though that may or may not be smart, but you know, you just don't always have a cell phone with you. And I think it kind of behooves us to do that, to expect people to all carry a cell phone. Another thing that was brought up was potential of either providing discounted rates on weather radios. And I know Winnebago County is a huge promoter of weather radios, and they do a pretty good job of promoting them and selling them at a pretty good price and things like that. And then, of course, we're back to sirens. When I saw this memo that said that Appleton was going to do one in that corner, and I came up with the exact same mindset that that Deputy Chief Foss did, that if one was properly placed there, that we may get the coverage. But again, we won't know that until we find out what equipment would go up or what you could do to see if it truly gives you the coverage. So this is pretty important to some of our folks, and my mindset is that they should be there, but is what it is. The $40,000 number that came up towards the end of last year when I saw the budget came out, I talked to the mayor that we didn't have it in the budget before. We talked about putting it in the next year's budget, and we just took kind of an estimated number from what was discussed initially at those meetings probably 3 years ago as what that cost may be. Now this is substantially less, which is a very good thing, but it looks like Deputy Chief would like to weigh in on that.
I would just say that the number that's given here is based on the Appleton RFP. So there's probably many, many different sizes and styles of sirens. So this is just the one that they're purchasing or that they've wrote an RFP for. So I don't have solid numbers by any means. I just wanted to give you that that's where they're at.
This number better reflects kind of the number we were originally talking about, because a gross number that was thrown out at that time was about 25 grand, but we didn't know if that was just for the equipment, if that included installation and startup and all the other stuff, you know, so I think that's kind of where that number came from. So I was glad to see this. We're rolling in on that, on our budget time again. We do still have this in our CIP, but I think it's important that we continue to pursue what Appleton may be doing, because I am concerned about activation, how it gets activated, and is it truly going to be responsible for the folks that live there? Because again, if Appleton's not doing theirs and Winnebago County isn't doing theirs, and all of a sudden ours goes off because there's something, you know, we're on the far north side of the county, the northwest side of Calumet County. If something's going on the southeast side, we may be alerting people to something that may not even affect them. So I do have concerns with that. So that's kind of my perspective on it and what the history is of this, and I was really glad to see that this came forward, and I think we need to continue to pursue it to find out exactly what Appleton's going to do, or if there's something we can do with them. It's my opinion. So thank you.
And that leads me to the next question, is that I'm assuming that's what we're looking for tonight, whether or not we want to engage with Appleton and see what their proposal is, if they're willing to work with us in any way, shape, or form. Mayor?
Well, I think the two things we were really looking for was first what Deputy Chief Foss was talking about. If it's going to be activated by Calumet County, is it worthwhile doing? Or can we get it activated by Outagamie County, which would be a much more sophisticated and probably true activation? And then do we want to move forward with working with Appleton? And I think we would want some kind of consensus with the council should we move forward in that direction. I did want to clarify, Winnebago County does pay for the sirens in Winnebago County, and that's why we don't have any in Calumet County. It's a county expense, and the tax rate is much cheaper in Calumet County. Calumet County is a low tax, low service county. Winnebago County is a high tax, high service county. So where we budgeted this was within the TIF, which would allow us to justify the fact that the Calumet County portion of our taxpayers in the city of Menasha were really paying for this, not the people that were in Winnebago County that were already paying for the Winnebago County sirens as well. So that's why it was budgeted within TIF 9.
Thank you for that clarification. If there's no other questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion. And would this need to go to council or just stay here in committee? Okay.
Help me out with what we're looking for a motion for. We really don't have anything other than to pursue. Is that what we're looking for?
Motion to pursue would be great.
Does it, it doesn't have to go to council for that directive, does it?
It will come back again once we get a little bit further grasp.
So the motion would be for staff to continue to pursue the installation of this. Okay. I would make a motion for city staff to continue pursuing the Menasha Calumet County outdoor warning sign proposal.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Motion carried on roll call 7-0.
And with that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed, say nay. We are adjourned.
Broadcasts of the City of Menasha Administration Committee, Board of Public Works, and Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Menasha residents and interested parties can obtain information about these meetings and meeting agendas from the city website, www.cityofmenasha-wi.gov. Expression of opinions regarding City of Menasha issues or about these broadcasts can be made by contacting the Mayor's Office, 920-967-5117, contacting their City Alderman. Contact information appears on the website. Completing the electronic feedback form on the website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.